Why have we not forced Jon Jones to
No.
vacate his title when he has done fuck all as the heavyweight champion? All right, welcome to another episode of Two Fight Fans, where we talk about all things in combat sports. I'm one fight fan, Colin.
And I'm the other Stewart.
All right, well, first of all, Stu, did you watch the Apex card this weekend? No? Okay, good.
Well, hold on. I did watch
Oh,
the main event, Colin.
you did?
I did. Did you watch the main event?
Nope, but I saw the highlights of the beatdown.
Yeah. Tell me what you thought about those highlights.
Yeah, I literally just saw the end combination of Michael Morales beating the shit out of Gilbert Burns. So, yeah.
Now, did you notice that Michael Morales was like, I think 19 feet tall? Like, just huge, right?
Yeah.
Fucking
Okay.
massive. He had a 6 each reach advantage over Gilbert
Whoa.
Burns. I don't know how much height advantage, but I'm gonna guess at least 7.5 feet. We always joke about how Poeton is somehow magically bigger than everyone he fights. Michael
Yeah.
Morales might be that at welterweight. He is gigantic. Um,
Jeez.
you saw the finishing sequence, which means you missed two important factors. Number one,
Yeah. Give me.
Gilbert Burns landed hard on Michael Morales at least 4 times. And I
Like,
mean like hard.
okay.
Huge sweeping left hook. The same punch that knocked down Kamaru Usman. The same punch that staggered Hamzat Chimaev. His go-to KO punch. And Michael Morales ate that shit like it was a fucking, I don't know. What do the Keebler elves make? Little crispy treats.
Rice Krispie treats?
There it is. Yeah, I totally
Little
blanked on
crispy
what it
treats.
I totally blanked on what it was called. Rice Krispie treats. Hold on, we'll take that one back. You can delete this all out. He ate them like Rice Krispie treats.
Nah, man.
Yeah, I mean, this fight was the perfect example of athleticism is cheating.
Okay.
He
Okay.
got clobbered in the fucking face and neck so hard, and it did nothing to him, and even though he lacked a tremendous amount of skill, he was able to beat, Gilbert Burns. Um, he's gonna be a problem for people at 170, even though his skill's not very good, simply because he can eat a punch like it's nothing, and he can clobber fools easily. Now apparently on Fight Night, he was 210 from 170,
Jesus.
which makes me think he's probably going to move up to middleweight sooner rather than later. But he still can eat a punch really well and hits really hard and had a 6-inch reach advantage over former number one contender Gilbert Burns. So, the dude's an athletic stud. Now, his skill level, not so great, but especially if he moves up to middleweight, probably won't matter.
Mm.
That's it. He'll probably move up to number 7, so within the top 10 of this division after this fight. Maybe should fight, I don't know, Carlos Prates, Bilal Muhammad. Yeah. Not a very interesting fight, other than every time I saw Michael Morales get close to Gilbert Burns, I went, oh my God, they're 3 divisions separate. How are they allowing this to happen? He was just so fucking massive. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay.
But besides that, fuck the UFC Apex. I didn't watch anything else. Let's talk about something else. Colin, this is
Well,
gonna be a little
actually,
bit more.
well,
Oh,
hold
go
on
ahead.
first. I do want to ask you, since you actually watched this fight. First of all, did not realize Michael Morales is only 25? Jesus.
Yeah.
So this was another example of, like you said, this new wave of welterweight fighters. So, like, if he does manage to stay down at 170, we've got this whole new crop coming up, and it might add more excitement, more dynamics, new dynamics to this division. I mean, Gilbert Burns, 38. Like, I didn't realize he was also 38 too. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's I mean, it kind of makes sense than what you were saying. Like, throwing his Sunday punch and it's having little to no effect on a younger, more athletic, more dynamic fighter. So
Well, and, like, here's the thing. Did Michael Morales' head fully move 10 feet to, like, the right every time he got hit in the face? Did his whole body, like, jostle? Did it look like his skull should crack? Absolutely. But he's 25, he's made of rubber and magic, you know? Like, he can just withstand that punch. You know, you spar with, like, young people, and their bodies at 25 are made of rubber and magic. Nothing seems to affect them. They're just fine. Um, but when you're a 38 old motherfucker with as many miles as Gilbert Burns has, you can't do it anymore, man. You should only be
yep.
taking old man fights. If the geriatric fight league was still around, I'd say, hey, go fight over there. But it's not. So unfortunately, probably they'll feed him to another up and comer. They'll probably have Carlos Prates fight him in a bounce back fight.
Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah. Yeah. No, but it is exciting, dude. Welterweight is suddenly becoming one of the most exciting divisions. The turnover is like fully imminent, especially with Joaquin Buckley against Kamaru Usman. Like once Kamaru Usman gets killed by Joaquin Buckley, there will be like a full official turnover. Like we'll mark it in the history books. It'll be like this is when the Renaissance went to the early modern era. This will be like the moment. We'll all agree on it. Anyway, that's all I watched. I didn't watch anything else. Don't ask me anything else about that fight card because I'm not going to watch Apex cards. I watched that main event. God, am I going to watch this next one? Probably not. Let's talk about all the weird shenanigans that have been going on because here's the thing. I
Yeah.
wish we could come on here and talk about the cool, exciting fights that have been made. I wish we could come on here and talk about, ooh, what about this? Ooh, what about that? Ooh, what about this? But the UFC, unfortunately, has decided to make MMA into a continuous storyline of disappointment and sadness. Like, it's true, right? Like, do
Yeah,
you remember,
yeah.
like, let's just go back to, like, I don't know, 2016. We were talking about what's
That's like
Connor's
10
next
years ago
fight.
now, man. Come on.
Okay, let's go back to 2019, 2020, 2020. Who's Khabib going to fight? Who's going to be for the interim belt? Where's Alex going to go? Is Alex and Max going to rematch? What's Amanda Nunes doing? You know, what's going on with Israel Adesanya? Like,
Yeah.
we could talk about all those things.
Yeah.
But
That's
now we're stuck talking about, I don't know, Jon Jones on a scooter bike in Thailand,
true.
about how they haven't announced anything for the MSG card, what's happening at heavyweight, what's happening at light heavyweight. Nobody knows. What's happening at like flyweight other than that title fight? Who's to say? I don't know, man. It's really dire ass times. Boring ass shit. I have to say,
Yep.
I watched the UFC released. I have to say, their YouTube channel has been spectacular because they release a ton of content that they used to not release and usually packaged really well. So they did one that was every one of Anderson Silva's UFC finishes, which are a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
Um, dude, even just having different style shorts with different logos, because Anderson Silva fought, I mean, almost the entirety of his career before the Reebok era and now the Venom era. His little like yellow and black shorts with the different like logos on it, and then like Chris Lieben, Nate Marquardt, Dan Henderson, Chael Sonnen, all of their different shorts, it just brought back so many memories. And there's so many more like, wow, look at the flavor of this fight. Look at the flavor
Mm.
of this fighter, rather than this homogenizing it into kind of a gray sludge that they can pour into a slop bucket for me. Um, I do miss it. I do miss it. Anyway, take it away, Colin. What are we talking about on this episode? I thought about that today and I was like, man, it was so much cooler when he could have his black and yellow, like little tidy spandex
Yeah.
ones. And he has like Condom Depot down the side and like hard fasteners on his ass. And I'm like, this is MMA. This is cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, on the one hand, they are kind of bringing that back with some of the custom shorts that people are allowed to have, where it's like
Barely.
it's very select. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
I'm I'm with you on that. I do wish there was. I mean, we've talked about this at length, like how like boxing has all the pageantry and everything, and it just makes it more
yeah,
fun and entertaining.
yeah. Well, it's basically just like the color of the shorts and the design. The short style is the same.
Yeah.
You can't like pick between GSPs like fucking, spandex shorties. You can't pick between Dennis Hallman's Speedo or do you remember when Alan Belcher came out with like the full boxing like kilt almost almost like a little like skirt and it had like tassels on the end. I was like, that's fucking cool, man. And now everything is just like, nope, it's board shorts. Nope, it's like spandex pants. They're all the same length. They all have the same design. They all have your name down the side. They're all like one of three colors. Maybe you can get purple if you're lucky. The end.
Mhm.
Lame. Lame, lame, lame.
Yeah.
I want Condom Depot emblazoned on neon pink shorts like Rich Franklin used to have. That's what I want to see. Anyway, what are we talking about today, Colin?
All right. Well, I got a few random things, and I'm glad you brought up a few kind of touching on some of these subjects independently. So I want to get your thought on this here. So we all know that Ilia Topuria has now moved to lightweight, and in doing so, he vacated the featherweight title, and we had a great fight between Volk and Diego Lopez. Islam has also vacated the lightweight title to move up to welterweight, and now we're going to get the Ilia and Charles Oliveira fight, right? So two like pound for pound greats, who have done like pretty remarkable things in their divisions, but they both decided to move up. They were both forced to vacate their titles, right?
Yeah.
Why have we not forced Jon Jones to
No.
vacate his title when he has done fuck all as the heavyweight champion? And like you said, he's spending his time fucking riding around on a scooter in Thailand doing fuck knows what.
Yeah.
And
Let me give everyone a spoiler alert. This ends with Jon Jones being stripped and or vacating because that's essentially what happened with Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. They didn't willingly vacate, just as Yuri Prochazka did not willingly vacate or Jamal Hill did not willingly vacate at light heavyweight. It was the UFC telling them, you either come out with a PR statement saying you vacate or we say we stripped you because we don't like you and that's bad for your image. With Jon Jones, they know the only fight that sells well at light heavyweight or heavyweight right now is Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. According to Ariel Helwani, Jon Jones made a request for money. Let's say it's 20 million, let's say it's 30 million. He said, here's this huge check I've demanded. According to Ariel Helwani sources, and Ariel Helwani is very rarely wrong about this stuff, whether you like him or not, said, it sounds like the UFC came up off their pocketbooks and said, "Oh yeah, like we'll pay that." And then he went, "Nah, I don't really want that." I
hmm,
think they're waiting around because they probably want this for the MSG card in November.
I was gonna
And they're
say, do you think that's what's gonna happen?
yeah, I think they're waiting around because they don't need to announce it now, right? They haven't even announced the August card in Guadalajara, Mexico,
That's
right?
true.
Like they have, so they've got August, September, October, November. They've got quite a few cards they can like just wait on because they're now down to this like we only announced it 2 months beforehand. And so I think they're kind of just waiting on Jon Jones, or they're waiting to that moment about like, well, we don't need to strip Jon Jones yet. We don't need to strip him yet. We don't need to strip him yet because Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is the biggest fight you can make in those top two weight divisions. Hell, it might be the biggest fight you can make outside of Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, which it sounds like they're already burning.
Yeah. Well, they
So
have
they're
already.
just yeah, they're just waiting to see like, well, maybe John will come back. Well, maybe John will come to the bargaining table. Well, maybe he'll accept this fight. And they don't feel any pressure to announce the fight more than a month beforehand. So they're like, we can wait until like August or September, October before announcing this fight and maybe John will come around this time. My assumption is Jon is not going to come back, but they're just going to wait it out and then eventually announce Aspinall versus Gon, which had been the rumored fight that both
Mhm.
camps had agreed to. And I think that's what's going on. It has nothing to do with like fairness or like, well, Islam got stripped or Ilia got stripped, blah blah blah. It's just we see this bucket of money in front of us to do Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, and it's basically the only big. Because like, if that fight doesn't happen, what's the next big middleweight, light heavyweight fight that like brings in gangbuster dollars?
I mean, that is the biggest one. The only
Yeah,
one that could possibly like rival that. I mean, only and it's only because of one draw. Maybe something involving Alex Pereira and maybe
yeah,
something involving Izzy, but that's also reaching because a lot of people now like kind of see Izzy as washed. So I don't think
yeah,
like he will have to
right.
draw.
And
Maybe Alex
maybe
at heavyweight, maybe,
yeah,
but
Alex
that's
and
it.
Tom Aspinall, and that could be a backup plan, right? But they know that like the Jon Jones Aspinall, but like let's say Alex, because Alex is disgruntled with the organization, like maybe
Yeah.
he doesn't want to do it. Like then what do you have? And like once you cash in on that singular event, right? If Aspinall beats Jones, then like he is seen as the rightful heavyweight heir.
Yeah.
And then any fight you make works. But like if that fight never happens, it definitely deflates Aspinall Pereira, Aspinall gone, Aspinall versus whoever. And so I
Well,
think that's what it is. It's just a cynical, like, if we can just wait this out, Jon Jones will maybe come around. And like, why do we feel any pressure to say anything before then? That's my read.
no,
What do you think?
that's fair. Yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Like just biding their time, like trying to hit the Madison Square Garden
Yeah, and
card at the end of the year. Yeah.
it's just such like ugh, it's just such bullshit. It's like just announce it or just strip them and let's just move on. Like the faster we move on, the faster we get to have Aspinall in these fights. And maybe these fights will suck, but these fights are gonna suck anyway. Like we're just delaying the suckage, and like it won't make it any better. You know what I mean? Like let's say Jon Jones. Let's say come November, it's Aspinall versus Gon. Like we could have gotten that because apparently Aspinall's been ready to fight. He'll be ready to fight in like June.
Well,
Like
when's the
let's
last time he fought? Like,
oh, dude, I don't know. Like, let's just get it out of the way. Who cares, you know?
yeah.
And then if Jones does come back, great. And if not, like, who cares? Like, who? It's kind of like the Connor thing. Like, who cares if he comes back? July of 2024. So it'll be over a year this July. Like, let's get
Yeah.
him in there in July. And even like, I don't really have interest in seeing him fight Gon, but like, there's no one like heavyweight and light heavyweight is a wasteland. So who cares? Let's just get him in there
Yeah.
and let's just have him rack up wins. You know, like Jon Jones is what a year away from having the longest title reign in heavyweight history. Like, and he defended it once against the ghost of Stipe Miocic. Like,
Yeah, that's stupid.
yeah, who cares? Like, let's just move. Let's move on. Let's move on. Nobody cares. It's the same thing with Conor McGregor. Nobody cares. If he
Yeah.
comes back, great. We can all like clap and go like, "Hey, look at that." But if when you hold up an entire division for one person and like almost two divisions, because like light heavyweight, you can't have a light heavyweight versus heavyweight like unification or like
Or
you know,
challenge.
yeah,
Super fight. Yeah.
without it. So like, let's just move on. Let's strip Jon Jones. Let's move on to Tom versus Cyril Gahn, as much as who cares about that fight. And then if Pereira or Onk want to move up, then we can do that. But if we drag this out to November just to get the Gahn Spinall fight, which we could have gotten this June, like we just burned 6 months of a heavyweight's career. And like I'd prefer to just watch Tom Aspinall fight
Yeah.
rather than talk about this. Like we just said, like, dude, remember when the UFC, you didn't have to spend weeks and weeks just talking about like, what are they gonna do? Ugh, why are they being this way? It was just like,
But
oh
yeah,
my god,
I
Conor
hope they
McGregor's
do
fighting.
this.
Yeah. And this is like basically what modern combat sports has turned into. Right? Same thing with boxing, same thing with this. Like it just has turned into fucking a slog, man. And
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with it because The MMA you and I fell in love with, and the boxing you and I fell in love with, didn't have this shit. You know? I remember
Yeah.
when like fucking Mayweather fought 2 to 3 times a year,
Yeah.
you know? And like against real opponents, not fucking Canelo fighting William Skull at 7:30 a.m. Like what the fuck? Who cares? Um yeah, man. This and yeah, again, like this thing of like Islam and Tapuria willingly vacating to go up. You know they didn't. You know no fighter ever gives up a belt because they give up contractual uh leverage in their contract when they give up a belt. Only when you have a belt do you get pay-per-view points. Only when you have a belt do you get extra pay. So like they gave that up? No. The UFC forced them to give that up.
Yeah.
And that's yeah. And they're just holding out for one singular payday rather than looking 10 months down the line when they could have another payday where like maybe or Alex Pereira beats Ankalaev or Ankalaev decides he wants to go up to heavyweight and fight Tom Aspinall. If Tom Aspinall has the undisputed belt, we can speed all of this along a lot faster,
Mhm.
right? Um, yeah. No, it's bullshit. I don't care. I don't just in the same way that you're like so checked out about Connor, I'm so checked out about Jon Jones. I don't even give a shit. I'm just
Yeah.
like my entire emotional bandwidth for the heavyweight division is like I'm pissed the UFC is not trying at all to make heavyweight interesting in any way possible. Like
Yeah.
they're doing absolutely nothing. They're actively trying to make it a more boring division. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. Ugh. Fuck the UFC. Fuck Jon Jones on this. Like, right? It seems like Jon Jones knows that he's not gonna. He keeps saying like people are accusing him of ducking. He's like, "Well, I'm living my best life. How could I be ducking?" And it's like that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Dude, I took a fat shit today. How could I be losing?" And it's like, "What are you talking about? You could be in massive debt. You could be an alcoholic. Like, just because you took a shit doesn't mean anything. Like, it has no correlation."
Yeah.
Ugh, driving me nuts. Anyway, so that's what I think about that. What do you think about it?
Yeah. I mean, it's stupid. We've been talking about it. We've been talking about it for way too long,
So long,
and
dude.
there's I feel like there needs to be rules. Like if you even if you're injured, I feel like there needs to be like a rule about like to keep the health of the division, to keep the health of like everything going. Like you need to have movement. You need to have, status. And if like if you're a champion, like I'm not saying you have to fight 3 times a year, but like there should be a timeline where you are required. And I think like in boxing, they do have like mandatory,
Yeah,
defenses, you know, and I feel like there should be, more regular defending of titles, to keep
yeah,
the process of the actual division fresh, to keep it healthy, and it only if you get to a point where it's like, you know, DJ, where he literally cleaned out everyone. It's like, okay, you're now fighting the 10th ranked person. It's like, all right, like at that moment, maybe we can figure something else out for DJ, like, because like there's nothing else. But no champion has done that yet, and I don't see any champion doing that in the foreseeable future, you know?
yeah,
So,
yeah. And that timeline is not crazy, right? Like, Jon Jones has fought twice since March 4th of 2023. We're over 2 years into this thing, and he's fought twice. One to win the belt, which was 19 seconds or a minute 19 against Cyril Gahn, and then the ghost of Stipe Miocic. Like, I know there was an injury in there, but this is crazy. Like, just get another fight in there, man.
yeah,
Um, Tom Aspinall's defended the interim belt more times during Jon Jones's reign than Jon Jones has had heavyweight fights.
yeah.
Like what are we doing?
I
Um,
mean, it for as much as like it's funny that you bring up like the whole uniforms, like because like the UFC has tried for years to become like a mainstream sport in the same vein as something like football or basketball or baseball or anything like that. So like having a uniform, to go out and fight and like that's basically what they're trying to do. Like they're trying
mhm.
to make it more legitimate. But at the same time, they do all this other underhanded shit that's like it's not gonna happen. Like you would never have like, okay, here we've got two teams fighting for the last spot, like in the wild card matchup in the playoffs for football. but like one team's quarterback and running back are both injured. So we're going to just delay the game, a week. No, they
Right.
would never do that. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, figure your shit out. Like,
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, imagine it's the Super Bowl and and that's the thing with Jon Jones things. It's like, imagine one team endlessly delayed it.
yeah,
The other team's like, we're ready to go. And they're like, nah, we're going to delay it. But here's the thing. That's on the fucking NFL to figure that out. That's not on if one team is going to delay it like that shit, you go, great, moving on. We'll award it to this person and we'll have a different Super Bowl, right?
yeah,
It won't be these two teams. But the fact that UFC is playing ball like this just shows like how greedy they are about these divisions and like no forethought into like how is this going to affect the health of the division, because let's say their gamble doesn't pay off and
yeah,
come November it's Aspinall gone when we could have had that 6 months beforehand. Like, now you've just delayed the division and the recovery of this division by 6 months,
yeah,
like why? It's so stupid. I mean, I know why. It's because they might get slightly more pay-per-view points, slightly more. But also, the more you let Tom Aspinall sit out, the less interested the casual fan and even the hardcore fan gets in watching him. It's just like, all right, whatever. Who cares? Heavyweight sucks.
yeah,
All I've been watching of heavyweight fights have been absolute garbage Apex fights. I haven't watched any single high-level heavyweight or light heavyweight MMA fight in a long time. Because you've been withholding them from us. So, yeah. Dude, I hope whatever.
yeah,
Fuck Jon Jones. Fuck Conor McGregor. I'm not interested in watching like them really fight again. Like, it's just we're done. We're done. I don't think Jon Jones. If I had to bet Conor McGregor and Jon Jones never fight again, I had said that a long time ago too about Conor McGregor. I don't
yeah,
think. I think when we started this podcast, I was like, I don't think Conor McGregor ever fights again, and I don't think Jon Jones ever fights again. Now he did come back and he did fight Stipe, so you proved me wrong. But like I'm still holding on to that same thing. I still don't think he ever comes back and fights again.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, no.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
That
um,
actually parlays really well into one of my next questions I had for you, because
mm,
we have these people like Jon Jones and Conor McGregor, bona fide superstars, in the UFC. Arguably, you could say that Conor McGregor was the biggest star of the UFC and launched the UFC
oh
into
yeah,
like new realms here.
yeah. I mean, he clearly was the big. I think there's only been 3 real mega superstars in the UFC, and he was clearly above the rest of them.
Who would you say are some of the other ones that are?
Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar.
Oh God, yeah. Jesus, I didn't even think about I thought you were gonna go into like Jon Jones or GSP or something like that, but like
No,
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 yeah,
no.
yeah, no, they garnered like different, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
like full mainstream appeal, and I think each one of them broke $1 million pay-per-view that they headlined. Whereas
Mm,
I don't know if Anderson Silva, Jon Jones, maybe Jon Jones DC2 did.
yeah.
Um, GSP, I don't think any of them ever. I mean, they got like what 700, 800,000 pay-per-views, but like full $1 million pay-per-view buys. Brock, Ronda, and Connor are. I mean, Connor had one of the biggest boxing fights of all time. Ronda Rousey, clearly one of the most famous of the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 decades, female athletes of all time, and then Brock Lesnar, like an absolute, like, I mean, these are all mainstream stars that like people who don't even watch combat sports would know their names of, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, my question to you is like, will we ever have another superstar like that? Or is the UFC not even set
Mm.
up for that anymore? Because I feel like there's a couple questions with this, because like one, there's the whole aspect of like, how do you create a superstar? And it
Mhm.
was like these loud shit talking, people who could back up everything that they said. Like Conor McGregor was the loudest person in the room and did the
Mhm.
most outlandish shit all the time. Brock Lesnar came from a sport where you had to have that performative aspect with the WWE, and he had that inherently, and he was just like a freak athlete. He was just this huge fucking monster.
Mhm.
And Ronda Rousey, like yeah, like for as much criticism I've given her, she did like incredible things. She was like the person to bring women's MMA into the UFC. So like And there she had some cockiness to her as well, which is what you need at that level.
Mhm.
But, like, I've been trying to think about this, and because I remember when we first started this podcast, we were talking about Ilya Topuria. You were saying that, like, some of his bravado doesn't come out because, like, he speaks Spanish, and it's just, like, it doesn't translate well, like, and his English doesn't translate over to that kind of, like, confidence and swagger that he has. But with
Mhm.
some of these interviews I've been seeing him do, getting ready for the lightweight title, I see what you're talking about right now.
Mhm.
It's just like this cold, calm confidence though, that's not super loud, like, the things that I think about with Connor is, like, when he would just shout out, like, in his press conferences, he would throw shit at people, he would go over
Mhm.
and grab Jose Aldo's belt, and, like, just do, like, outlandish shit to, like, press people's buttons.
Mhm.
But I don't see Topuria doing that, and I kinda
Mhm.
respect him more for that 'cause some of the things that he says is like, "Oh," like, it reminds me of something that, like, Kobe or Michael Jordan would do, like, their kinda shit talk, which it was like it was silent, but, like, you paid more attention to it?
Mhm.
Like, one of the things he said about Charles, like, they were saying, like, "Oh, how do you predict the end?" He's like, "Well, I'll either knock him out or submit him. I'll do whatever, like, he wants so that it hurts him less or whatever."
Yeah.
And it's like,
Cold-blooded.
that's fucking cold, like, god
Yeah.
damn, like
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, here's the thing is, like, Ilia Topuria is one of the most famous athletes in Spain at the moment. He's getting shoutouts in the Bernabeu. He's getting shoutouts from Real Madrid, like one of the most popular soccer clubs in the world. And this is basically without the UFC really promoting him at all.
yeah,
He's not gone on a world tour. Like remember the amount of press, and maybe if we have any young listener, the amount of press Connor got, the amount of push Connor got. He was put on a world tour twice with with Jose Aldo. They flew out Sinead O'Connor to sing him to the ring, one of the most famous singers in like Irish history.
yeah,
They
yeah,
did like 2 or 3 full documentaries on him uh when he was fighting. They built a whole card around him and all of the like pre-programmed packaging around him when he fought Diego Brandao. He had a whole Boston card set up for him against Dennis Seaver. They gave him Dustin Poirier on like a main event number 3 spot on a big huge pay-per-view card. Um like they put a ton of promotional might behind him to get him to that place. Ilia Topuria has not received that much. He's received the same amount of promotional hype as Bilal Muhammad, and yet he has still managed to like capture the imagination of Spain
yeah,
and Georgia. Is like his ethnically home country. Without basically with the same promotion of like basically any other fighter in the UFC. And so, like, if they put the same promotional weight that they gave to Conor McGregor behind him, he could be a huge superstar. It's the same thing with a lot of these guys. The fighting nerds, you think like Long John Silva and Carlos Prates and all that stuff, we've been enamored with them with the little bit of promotion that they've put behind them. But imagine if they really put, like, rather than putting them on Apex cards, if they
yeah,
put a fight card in Brazil, one of their hometowns, just like Connor in Dublin, right? Rather than Apex, let's do that. Let's give him a squash match. Carlos Prates would explode. Alex Pereira, without speaking English, without fighting in Brazil, really, fighting on random cards in Utah and Las Vegas, has become a massive star in the UFC, or as big as they can make now. He doesn't speak English. They don't put much promotion behind him other than what he already does. Imagine if they went on a world tour with him and Khalil Roundtree, rather than just
yeah,
like randomly being like, oh, you're fighting in Utah 4 weeks from now. Like the UFC is purposely trying to not make stars, I think. And so that's why we're not going to see a star in the UFC quite like Conor or Ronda. Because at that moment, they were trying to make stars so that they could be sold to WME Endeavor, TKO Group, whatever. And now they just want slop for the bucket, man. And you occasionally have people like Tapuria, like Pereira, who rise to the top and end up being these big stars. But it has nothing to do with the promotion by the UFC. It just had to do with their own charisma. And Conor had his own charisma, and Ronda had her own charisma, and Brock Lesnar had his own charisma, and Chuck Liddell, and Anderson Silva, and George St. Pierre. The only thing is the promotion was super interested in like really pushing them and really making them shine. And now they don't care. They just don't care. So like I don't think we are gonna get a Conor or a Ronda anytime soon because the UFC until the UFC decides they want another superstar like that. Right? Because imagine, dude, okay, how easy would it be to just do like, oh, Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, International Fight Week in Spain, in the Bernabeu, right? The
Oh yeah.
one of the biggest, most lauded soccer stadiums in all of Europe. Make that fight happen, dude. That would be fucking gangbusters. That would be crazy, you know? And like Volk is a pretty big star. Why did Volk fight Diego Lopez in Las Vegas? Why wasn't that card in Australia? You know, like
Yeah.
these are easy things. Alex Pereira's next fight should be in Brazil. You know, like these are like easy fucking layups, and they never do it. They never do that shit anymore. It's just wherever they have the contractually obligated. Hey, Utah paid us $20 million to bring a fight card here. Let's give him Alex Pereira. Let's give him whatever. Right? We even joked about it. What the fuck does Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree have to do with
Dude.
Azerbaijan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, do we have Azerbaijani fighters on the card? Why don't we put all Azerbaijani fighters there? Right? Like, what is this Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill? They're both from Las Vegas. Put that fight in fucking Las Vegas. It's a hometown fight then. They put all these other fights in Las Vegas. Like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, it's so no, I don't think we'll ever get one, and that's not because that there aren't people who have that star power. We clearly have people already. Alex Pereira could easily be the same star as Conor. I mean, I think Ilia Topuria could be bigger than Conor if given the right vehicle.
Mhm.
And it's just like the UFC won't do it, man. Right? Like bring a fight card to Georgia with Merab Dvalishvili and Ilia Topuria. Bring a fight card to Spain with Joel Alvarez and Ilia Topuria. These are easy wins, man. Like they're gonna have a fight in Guadalajara, Mexico, and it looks like it's gonna be Yair Rodriguez versus Alexander Volkanovski. Why put Alexander Volkanovski against Yair Rodriguez there? Like Yair Rodriguez is gonna get a pop, but like he's gonna lose. Why not have it be Diego Lopez, who lives in Mexico, and Yair Rodriguez? And why not Brian Ortega also on that fight card?
Mhm.
Like, what are we doing? You know, there's been no UFC in Hawaii for Max Holloway. We're
Oh yeah.
finally getting Dustin Poirier in Louisiana, but like Dustin Poirier got his big rub and his big popular push after beating Conor McGregor, after kind of stealing some of that clout from
Yeah.
defeating him. And the UFC is never setting anyone up to do that. Um, that's my whole spiel.
Let me ask you,
Like,
do you think it is just that it's a laziness or it like
yeah,
they've already sold, so they don't need to like do anything more for that? Or do you think it's just like a little bit more sinister, like they don't want anyone bigger than the name of the UFC?
yeah, I think it's a mix of both. One is like not needing to if you don't need to build stars because you have a system in which you have contractual revenue, right? Every pay-per-view they get paid by ESPN 20 million. The sponsors in the cage get a certain amount so they can just guarantee, hey, we're going to make let's say 30, 40 million off this card. We know the cost of the fighters on the card and we know the cost of all the production for it is going to maybe cost us 30 million so we can pocket 10 million. What site fees can we get? Right? Cuz we know uh Salt Lake City pays them like 10 million a card. Okay, great. Then they pocket 20 million in profit. Same with Australia. Same with like Las Vegas. Like if they know, hey, we don't even it actually doesn't even matter what quality of fights we bring. We just know we get guaranteed revenue. We don't even need to worry about the gate or pay-per-view sales. We can just get that, then there's no need to do any extra promotion, right?
Mhm.
Why do
Yeah.
a world tour? That costs a little bit extra to the bottom line. Why do an extra video package? That costs more to the bottom line. If we know we can just pocket 20 million in profit, why do anything? Right? Like who
Yeah.
cares? Even if no one shows up at the gate, it won't make a difference because we already got that 20 million.
Mhm.
That's why they do the Apex cards. They don't make profit off those Apex cards for ticket sales. They just make it purely off of like we'll put this slop together. Each one of these fighters only costs 10 and 10, but we know we're gonna get 5 million off it. So fuck it. Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I think. I don't think it's like a concerted Machiavellian plan to make sure no one is bigger than them. I think it really is. Is it Occam's razor? Like,
The
don't
simplest
attribute.
explanation. Yeah.
Yeah. Or what's the one that's like, don't attribute to malice what you can attribute to stupidity. Like, like they're not maliciously trying to make it terrible. They're just like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like fuck it.
Yeah.
They're just acting stupid, and like this is what happens because they have all of these. I mean, dude, we have the first UFC fighter from China who's never defended her belt in China, a country of what, 2 billion people, an untapped market for the UFC, and they've seemed not interested in promoting there. Like, what? You could have locked the entire Chinese market. We have all of these amazing Japanese fighters coming up. Have we had a fight in Japan recently? No. The last one was Josh Barnett versus Roy Nelson, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That was in Japan?
Yes. Right? Like, so it clearly has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the actual health of the sport or building of stars or building of long-term plans. It's just we have a contractual amount of revenue every time we put it on a card. What city is willing to pay us the most this month to go there? Is that bumfuck Kansas? Is it Thackersville, Oklahoma? Is it, Moncton, Manitoba? Or actually, I think that's New Brunswick. Like, it doesn't matter. We'll just go there. Yeah. And that's what right?
The last fight in Japan was in 2017. Jesus.
Yeah. Like, and we have all these great Japanese. So it really is just that. And there's no reason. The UFC TKO posted their best career earnings this past quarter, like record amount. So there's no pressure from the viewing audience to change their ways, because it actually turns out that their viewing audience is not the thing that pays their bills the most. It's corporations and it's governments. Yeah. So that's what I think. I think they don't care. They just don't care about star power.
Sad.
And who knows? Yeah, maybe if they go, whatever their deal is, if they go to Netflix or they go to wherever, then maybe star power will be a little bit more important. Like, viewership will be a little bit more important, because apparently ESPN over the past few years has been pissed at how much they've paid, because apparently pay-per-view sales have absolutely plummeted so bad that people that have pay-per-view points have been getting 0 points, because pay-per-views are not even selling 100,000, which is typically the amount, or the threshold to actually start getting paid. So not even selling 100,000 pay-per-views on most of their pay-per-views, and even the big ones, the Pajera ones, are not selling more, much more than 100,000.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah. It's people just don't care. So yeah, but that's what happens when you have a fight card every weekend and people start treating this as just a thing you turn on, just an episode of a TV show every weekend. It takes away from it. And we've complained about this endlessly, talking about it being a slop bucket, but it bums me out, dude. It bums me out. Because I remember every fight card, we would get together and we'd watch it, and it would be a big thing. And what about this? What about this? But now it's just I don't know. Am I gonna watch one out of every 5 of these cards? Maybe. It's terrible, dude. It's terrible. Yeah. And they have big stars, man. Imagine UFC in 2016 when they were pushing Conor, when they were pushing Ronda. Imagine them in 2010 when they were pushing Brock. But imagine that energy behind Pereira and Topuria and even Makhachev. The way they pushed Khabib. Imagine if they did that for Makhachev. Dude, it would just be so much more exciting. And they just decided to do fuck all.
Yeah.
sucks. Anyway. All right. What else is there to talk about besides the suckage of the UFC? Well, and this is also another thing too. Like, I've been thinking about this. Like, okay, let's say they cut the number of events in half because I think
Yeah.
right now they have 47. Let's say we take it down to 25, right?
Okay.
So that's one event every other
Every 2
week.
weeks. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
still a lot.
that's a lot. But you could like stack cards, right? You could take the best, and for every 2 cards, you could take the best fights and then put them on one card, and that makes it worthwhile.
Sure, yeah.
Where do all those other fighters go?
Well, I mean, one championship kinda does this where they have, like, their slop undercard on, like, a Friday and then their main event on Saturday. So, like,
Yeah.
sure, just do that. Just do them at the Apex then.
Well,
Do
I don't
all
know
of
if
your unranked
financially that
fighters
would
or whatever.
works. What I mean is like what financial opportunities do let's say because let's say imagine we're going to cut half of the UFC
Oh, Jesus.
basically, or they go to the slop card, but the slop card gets paid less, right? It's gets less views. Where do they go? Like in the economics of MMA, where do these fighters go to make money? Because there's no more Strike Force, there's no more Bellator, there's no more Elite XC. The PFL is cutting fighters left and right. Like Luke Thomas made a really good point. Bellator, in its final year of operation, paid out about $45 million to its fighters in
Okay.
salaries across the year. That organization just left the marketplace and was replaced by nothing because the PFL bought it, but has been trying to keep its payroll basically the same. So
Mhm.
basically $45 million worth of salaries or fight purses have just been removed from the marketplace for MMA fighters, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it doesn't exist anymore. So if the UFC just like cut half of its roster and said, "Hey, you know, we pay out 15 million a year or whatever, and now we're just going to drop that to like 8 million just to keep the numbers simple." Like where did those fighters go? Because there's no other organization that can really pick them up. You know, the PFL has been bleeding fighters. One is barely hanging on. Like, it's
Yeah.
just where do these fighters go to make a living to even get ready to be in the UFC? Um, it really feels like the monopolization of this entire industry has just led to, well, we're just going to get shittier fights now because there just isn't. There's no starter league. There's no medium league. There's no league to graduate to. It's like either you're fighting at like Donkerson's like fight league in a pool hall, and then you go to the UFC like Dana White Contender Series, and then you're just like in the UFC, or you have to like make a choice to fight for one. Um,
Yep.
yeah, it man, it sucks. It
It
sucks,
does.
dude.
It does.
Sucks shit. Yeah. Anyway, all right. What else are we
Not a good
talking about?
prospect.
What? No,
Uh,
no, no, dude. It really like I wonder like in 3 or 4 years if we're still doing this podcast or even still talking about fight sports. Maybe this whole podcast will have moved on to like our favorite globes. Like what we
globes? That's what you
globes.
came
Yeah.
up with?
Yeah, we'll be reviewing globes. That'll be our new podcast. It'll just be about like, oh man, have you seen the new globe? Shit's crazy. Like what will these what will MMA even look like? Like we might be talking about what is basically regional MMA as high level MMA because there just hasn't been a feeder league for it, right? It's just it'd be like if
Yeah,
you took out all high school football, so the first time anyone gets to play football is in college. Like you just remove a whole step of like learning and like
development.
drafting and yeah, exactly. So it's just like, all right, well, I guess we're now watching shittier MMA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. What are your other 2 questions? I see one that just says Horiguchi, and I see
No,
one that says
Horiguchi,
boxing.
yeah. Yeah, Horiguchi's out of his fight.
Oh, no.
Yep,
What? Why?
yeah. It
Bro, this
says it
conversation's already been like sad enough. Why did you bring that up?
I know, man, I know, yeah, he had to pull out of his fight in the esteemed land of Baku, Azerbaijan. So
Look, I'm sure Azerbaijan's a lovely country. I just don't know what Horiguchi has to do with it. He pulled out. That sucks.
yeah, I
Ah.
know. And there's no like current return date yet. Also,
Ugh.
did you know that he's teammates with Pantoja?
Yeah, he's like one of his main training partners.
I fucking did not know that.
Yeah, he said like he's never going to fight him. So the question is,
Wow.
does Pantoja move up or does because Horiguchi's fought at 135? Does Horiguchi move up, try to fight at 135? That division is stacked right now. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm heartbroken to hear that he's out of that fight. God
Yeah.
damn. Ooh, that leaves that Azerbaijan card a little bit thinner. A
Yep.
little bit thinner.
I'm listen, I'm still gonna watch it because I want to see Khalil Roundtree murder someone.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be kind of cool. Let's see. Who else is on there?
Specifically Jamal Hill. That
Yeah.
that I just yeah, I can't wait.
Jamal Hill has a thumbs up hand on each one of his pecs.
Yeah. And not good thumbs up either.
No, not good thumbs up. Bad thumbs up. Yeah, the gooch is out. This is real sad. Um, what a weird fight card.
Yeah, yeah.
Rafael Ziev and Ignacio Bahamundes from Chile is on there. Like what? What are we doing? What are we doing, UFC? You're just being a couple of silly geese. Damn. All right. Well, that sucks. I hate that. My day is ruined, and I'm absolutely devastated.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right, Colin. Well, I've got one for you.
Alright, give me.
So we all were excited. Well, a couple of us. Well, maybe just me. Maybe you and I. Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, yeah.
They were supposed to fight on Netflix the Friday before UFC 320 in Guadalajara.
Mhm.
This is a big Mexican fight weekend. Turki Al-Sheikh comes out and announces that TKO and Dana White will no longer be promoting this fight. It instead will be his classic Riyadh season fight promotion. And it will, in fact, take place on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Not on Netflix. We don't know where. Possibly pay-per-view. But going head-to-head with the UFC's UFC Noche 320, which we think will be Yair Rodriguez and Alexander Volkanovski. Colin, speculating entirely. Do you think TKO boxing is dead before it even arrived because of
Ooh.
this?
I'm wondering, okay, is it now dead on arrival? Possibly. And I'm more curious as to what caused the sudden souring in relationship.
Yeah.
That's what I wanna know.
I mean, I don't know. You tell me. Speculate for me? Just go wild speculation. We'll disclaimer this. None of this is based in fact. It's all Colin's wild speculation. He licked a toad. He thought this is what was sounded smart. Like, go off.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that basically both of them didn't come to an agreement on, like, who gets what for revenue or whatnot, and basically Dana White is always like, "Nope, this is how things are going. If you don't like it, then, like, take it or leave it." And Turki Al-Sheikh is like, "Yeah, I don't need your money. I'll go do my own thing. I'm taking my
Yeah.
ball and I'm playing," you know?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like finally someone standing up to, finally someone saying like, "Nah, I don't need you, Dana White. I don't need your money. I don't need your clout." So,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I know Dana White holds the biggest of grudges of anyone ever.
Yes.
So, whether it was his fault or not, I could definitely see it, like, if that's really what went down, if it was a souring of the relationship, then those 2 never having doing anything together again, and Dana White definitely, like, started to badmouth Turki Al-Sheikh and everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I do think back to like the Noche card at the Sphere, which was
Mhm.
like presented by Riyadh season.
Oh,
But
that's
like,
right! I forgot about that.
yeah, it was all a UFC production. Like there was no hint beyond like the advertisements for Riyadh season, but there was no like Turkey's hand in anything, right? It's like the UFC does like to control everything itself. So I wonder if they were like, we're gonna control this entirely. And Turkey went, no, I don't think so. And they went, well, then we're out. And he went, okay, fine,
Yeah.
you're out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then also a report came out that quite a few boxers had been reached out to by TKO's promotion, the Dana White Zuffa Boxing, Turkey Al-Sheikh Boxing, for this Ring magazine title. And they had very rigid contract structures um, that had show and win money, just like the UFC, which boxers do not usually have show and win money, right? They
Right.
just have the money to fight and then the money that the fight produces, right? They don't have, if you win, you get extra. Um, and apparently, very few fighters were interested in this pay structure because of how rigid it was, lack of negotiations, and how low the pay was. Colin, do you think that this means that there will be no TKO Zuffa boxing moving forward because they just simply are too restrictive and that boxers, surprisingly, are holding firm on not buying into this organization?
I I hope so because like this is one of those like collective bargaining things. Like as long as all the boxers are like, yeah, I won't do this,
Mhm.
but as soon as it starts to gain any momentum and just gain a few people here and there, then it's like then they become another player and they can start to like lure people in that way. But as long as
Mhm.
everyone's like, no, this is not how we do things in this sport. Like you can always incentivize people, but if half your paycheck is based off incentives, that's not how this is gonna work, you
Yeah.
know? So, like I know in other professional sports, they'll try to lure superstars on like very, very like flexible or exciting contracts. Like you get this flat pay, but you can have like more for incentives down the season. Like if we make, the playoffs, if you have X number of whatever, you know,
Mhm.
but it's not like half your salary, you know? You could make a
Yeah.
lot in incentives, but it's not gonna be half. It's not gonna be the difference between you having a successful camp and fight versus, "Oh, shit, now I can't pay anyone," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Let's pull out your prediction hat. Do you think there will be a single card in 2025 promoted by Zuffa, Dana White, TKO Boxing?
Mm, no. Not unless something, like, immediately is announced, like, or there's some explanation as to why this, Canelo and Terence Crawford card fell through.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it fell through necessarily. It just sounds like it's not gonna be promoted by them.
Mhm.
Um, because it sounds like it's still gonna happen. The question is where and, like, who. Well, the official promoter will be Riyadh Season.
Right.
Um, yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. I'm kind of excited. I mean, there's been talk about repealing the Ali Act, but without the money from Turkey, like, I don't know if the UFC and TKO pursues the repealing of the Ali Act. Um, it is kind of, it is amazing to see it because this was announced what, late March, like, so in a month and a half,
Like,
have
already
this
fallen through. Yeah.
already falling apart. Like, yikes, guys. You really, it really, dude. I don't. It really does show. All of these guys like to talk about themselves as like Donald Trump art of the deal, how smart they are and how good they are as like businessmen. And then you see instances like this, and I'm like, God damn, you guys actually are like pretty fucking stupid and like really lucked out with your situation. Like that's really what it like. I don't know. That's really what it strikes me as. It strikes me as somebody who has like a mundane idea and had enough money to do it. Like Turki Al-Sheikh has literally the backing of one of the most powerful and rich regimes on planet Earth, and Dana White had multi-billion-dollar best friends that
Mhm.
bought him a fight organization, and like they built it into something, but like multi-billions of dollars. And then it's like, hey, can you put on one fight card together amongst Canelo versus Crawford, one of the most anticipated fights you could make, and they couldn't even agree on that, and it fell
Yeah.
apart within, like, a month. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, shows me that A lot more people out there have donkey brains than we like to think. Um, I think there is actually some like philosophical treaty about like there are more stupid people than anyone is willing to admit because it's too terrifying to admit how many stupid people there are. And this feels
Yes.
like one of those situations.
Yes, I agree with that statement.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've talked about a lot, kind of,
Not a
and
lot of
not a
good
lot.
stuff. Like,
No.
this is another one of those, like, depressing episodes.
I fully blame the UFC. Like, it's not even rose-colored glasses. It wasn't this bad several years ago. It wasn't even this bad 5 years ago, you know? Like, I mean, I guess we could have talked about how they were trying to flaunt COVID restrictions and how Dana White said COVID's not a real thing. But, like, the fights themselves were pretty fucking entertaining. But now they're just dude, they're just dragging us through the fucking mud. Because, like, what do we have to look forward to? Aaron Blanchfield, Macy Barber? Ugh. What's after that? Another Apex card? Can you even name the card? Don't look it up.
Okay.
What is the card after Macy Barber, Aaron Blanchfield?
Nope, it's not the Marab and Sean O'Malley. That's in 3 weeks, right?
Oh shit! It is the Rob and Sean O'Malley. You're
Oh,
right.
I got it, baby.
Yeah. So we actually skip a week this
Oh.
weekend,
Oh, thank God, yeah. We got nothing this
and then
weekend.
it is Blanchfield, Barber, Mateusz Gamrot, Ludwig Klein, and then who gives a shit anywhere else on this card? Yeah, and then it is the Marab, Pena Harrison.
Okay, okay.
So what does a fight fan do for this weekend, Colin? What do you even watch this weekend?
Go outside.
Go
Like
outside. I'll tell you another thing too. It is the May Basho for sumo. And you
Oh!
know your boy will be watching the entire Basho because it ends on the 25th. It ends this coming Monday.
Alright,
Um,
alright.
I don't know anything about this Basho, but in these dark times, we can all rely on sumo to make our hearts full. Because MMA and boxing are just fucking not gonna do it. There's not a good boxing match until July, and there's not really a good MMA match until early June. So for the rest of this month, go outside, bring a little portable TV or a cell phone, watch a little sumo. All right, everybody. This has been Two Fight Fans Podcast. I'm one Fight Fan Stewart.
I'm the other Colin.
The UFC has turned MMA into slop, but we're all here to keep eating it because we're addicted, and someone help us. Take us to therapy. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Uh-oh, interaction failed.
Kill him. Kill it. Kill it with fire.